Good morning and greetings from Northumberland this morning on the 23rd of March. As I looked at the news and social media and things this morning, I was reminded of a few things coming together. Back in Wakefield, which was my home city for pretty much 30 years of my life and for much of my ministry, they're remembering 50 years since a terrible mining disaster, the Lofthouse Colliery disaster, in which miners lost their lives due to an incursion of water. And 50 years on, they're remembering the many efforts made by people to help them and to bring so many people to the surface, but sadly not those 7, I believe it was, who lost their lives. Today, Marie Curie Cancer Care holds a National Day of Reflection. A day of reflection for those who have died, for those who are bereaved, for those who are in need. And it's 3 years ago on Saturday, in fact on Friday, that I sat down in front of an iPhone for the first time and made a film a little bit like this. A response to the COVID lockdown. And pretty well every day, except when I had my heart operation and things, I've sat down here when there's been a signal and made a reflection and offered a prayer. Just occasionally the technical things eluded us, but pretty well for those 3 years, this pattern has continued. Starting in that first long lockdown and continuing for more than 900, more than 1,000 days of broadcasting, 2.6 thousand films, so YouTube tells me. And then yesterday I watched a few highlights of the interview with the former Prime Minister before the House of Commons Privileges Committee, and saw his understanding of what lockdown and normal life in lockdown meant. And all these things started a sort of maelstrom of thoughts. Firstly, I wish we had a national day of reflection at this time, maybe the 23rd, maybe the 24th of March, particularly focused around the incredible sacrifices many people made during the height of the pandemic, and particularly focused among the thousands and thousands of lives that were lost, and the very many sacrifices that people made in terms of their own families and in terms of not being able to be with loved ones when they died, or even mark their funerals in what we would normally call a dignified way. We would also want to give thanks for so many people in our health services and in other essential services who worked tirelessly and sometimes very dangerously for the good of others. And although we might want to be cynical about the attitudes of some people and maybe some of the decisions that leaders took and the attitudes they showed, above all, as we reflect back over 3 years, we see ordinary people who took extraordinary acts to do things that were courageous, self-sacrificing, an outpouring of love and community spirit. Those days were incredibly difficult. But as we approach this week, that anniversary, as we mark the very many changes that have occurred in our society as a result of that pandemic, we give thanks above all for the courage, the tenacity, the dedication, the self-sacrifice of ordinary people. We thank God that we came through the darkest days, and we remember with love and affection the great sacrifices we saw and the incredible courage that so many people showed. And we remember with sadness those who were lost in those darkest days. As we contemplate this, may God bless us all, and may God keep us in his love.